This is episode 47 of the Battle of Ohio podcast. It's the most boringest time of the year on the NFL calendar.
Okay, I'm about to say, because you had the NBA playoffs going on. I'm having fun.
Well, yeah, but for the NFL, this is the worst time of the year as far as having stuff to talk about. We got 2 weeks left of OTAs. Like, we got to sit through OTAs for 2 more weeks. Like, the first day of OTAs, maybe the first week of OTAs is always kind of interesting. There's something to talk about. But and afterwards, it's just like they ain't really even doing anything. And then absolutely nothing. After the next 2 weeks, got nothing going on until mid-July when training camp starts ahead of the preseason start date, which is August 5th. So in lieu of any interesting news to talk about, Thomas and I decided to take a more in-depth look at the depth charts this week to get more of an idea of how we think the rosters are going to look after final cuts on August 31st, just after the third, you heard that right, third and final preseason game this year.
Only 3. This
Only
is great.
We get an extra regular season game.
You don't need 3 because you don't need 4 preseason games. So 4 preseason games.
I mean, the extra preseason game really helps kind of like fringe roster guys make their statement, but
yeah,
at the same time, especially that's I kind of wonder how they're going to do the dress rehearsal game and kind of like the schedule of the preseason goes by. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Personally, I'm going to have a bit of fun looking at the Steelers depth chart at the end of the episode because why, Thomas?
Because Steelers still suck.
That they do. The Steelers still suck.
I said it so elegantly that time. Y'all get eloquent. Y'all still suck.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Battle of Ohio podcast, where we follow the revival of the historic rivalry between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns.
I've got some very specific, very, very well-researched reasons, by the way, why the Steelers still suck. So stick around to the end of the episode to find out why, because Steelers fans want to talk some trash, and I'm going to bring in numbers to the game to explain why they need to shut up and just accept that their team sucks.
Okay. Shut up, Pittsburgh.
So what are you drinking today, Thomas?
It's funny is I literally work at a bar that sells over 200 beers. And every day that we have a podcast, I forget to bring home a beer from my restaurant. So wow. I had to stop it to buy one from the gas station that has some stuff going on. We ain't gonna talk about that here on this podcast. But I did buy a Arnold Palmer, a Spike Arnold Palmer. This is not the beer I wanted. I actually had a really good beer picked out for this podcast I was going to enjoy. And I forgot to grab it before I left work. So today I'm going to not enjoy, but pretend to enjoy Arnold Palmer Original Half and Half. Yep, it's spiked. Don't worry. There's alcohol in this thing. I hope. It says there's alcohol in there. Oh, 5% alcohol. Okay, let's see what this thing tastes like.
5%.
That's actually pretty refreshing.
Well, yeah. It's 5% alcohol.
But look how big it is, though.
Well, okay, but...
And that's a photo. You see the photo of Arnold Palmer? What up, Arnold?
Yeah, golf. That's what people tuned into this podcast to hear about, golf.
Hey, man, who doesn't like a little golf, man? You got Tyson Gamtham-Bowl, whatever his name is. You got Jason Duffner. You got Ryan Day. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering all their names.
Ryan Day, the head coach of Ohio State?
No, I'm sorry, not Ryan Day. What's his name? The golfer that lives in Columbus. And the one that LeBron tackled, LeBron tackled his wife. Anyway, that's not here or there.
Hold on, what?
LeBron tackled the wife of this golfer who lives in Ohio. I can't think of his name. He's actually very popular. I don't know. I can't think of his name.
LeBron tackled her?
Yeah, during the game. It was in the middle of the game. It was that Cavs game. She was chilling front row. She was sitting there drinking her little cocktail. And
like he
LeBron
ran
just jumped
in
in the stand like, oh.
I thought you were telling me like he straight up assaulted somebody. I'm like, what the
I mean, he pretty much did. I mean, the man is like 200,000 pounds, and she's like probably like 100 pounds.
All right. So before we get too far off onto this tangent, in honor of the time of eternal optimism, which is the off season, I'm drinking a Victory. Victory. It's a sour triple.
Ooh, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
I like sours. I don't typically drink sours a whole lot, because I mean they're more of a sipping beer than like just a drinking beer. But I mean, hell, I got it, and I asked my wife this time around to get, because like at Jungle Gyms, they have a section where you can create your own 6-pack of beer. And normally I could go just stock up on whatever seems good for the podcast. This week I asked my wife to pick up a 6-pack for me, just surprise me, come up with anything just to kind of add a little bit of variety. And so she got me a sour, so I'm drinking a.
Hey man, Victory is a good brewery. Victory's a really good brewery. They got this Golden Monkey beer. It's really good.
Well, the Sour Monkey's really good. I do really like sours.
I like sours too.
It's just it's hard to find a good time to drink them because it's like I said, it's a pairing beer. It's a sipping beer. It's like you got to enjoy a sour like you enjoy a wine, and I'm not much of a. When I drink beer, I'm trying to like drink beer.
That's like you and you. Yo, the thing is though, like because like you drink too many, because you drink too many sours or you drink too many fruit beers, man, it makes your stomach hurt. I don't know. So you can't just like chug them, unfortunately.
Well, I have never had that experience because I have never had the desire to drink a lot of sours. So like, I mean, like after a while, you drink enough sours and you just kind of get tired of drinking sours. Or you just kind of get tired of drinking in general, really. For me, I can only drink so many of them.
Yo, it's funny. I had this. I was at the Indians. It's a little off topic. I was at the Indians game last week, last Tuesday, and I had this margarita at the stadium, and oh my god, it was so good. Oh, there was definitely alcohol in it. Cause I watched the woman pour. She poured a lot of alcohol in it, but she made that lady, man, Miss Bartender at the Indians at the corner alley at the Indian Stadium. Toast to you, cause you killed it. Man, that margarita was so good. Right. Oh, I wish I had 5 more of those. Oh, if only they weren't $15.
Fair enough. Let's go ahead and get into these roster projections, though. Like I said, not really any news to talk about. Bengals Browns. There is worth pointing out if any of you Bengals fans watching attend Bengal Gyms before the Roar tailgate, they're going up to Canton. I think this week? Either this week or next week. I think they're. Are you saying something, Thomas?
No, I believe it's. I believe it's still got a little bit of time for that before that happens, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So they're going up to Canton and they're trying to get. I think Ken Riley and Ken Anderson. Well, they're trying to raise awareness for their Hall of Fame. They're obviously not going to march up there and demand that they be enshrined, and then suddenly they're enshrined. But they're trying to raise awareness for their campaigns. And honestly, the way I see it, like. I've been trying to say Ken Riley deserves to be in the Hall of Fame basically my whole life, and it's a shame that he died before he got a chance to actually experience that. But I'm unfortunately not going to be able to attend. I can't take off work just to like march to Canton or whatever. But if anybody's watching and got the time, go check out Bengal Gyms BTR before the Roar, and go be part of that and try to get our boys enshrined. And any sympathetic Browns fans who are listening, maybe y'all can trot over to Canton too and be part of a fun Bengals experience. So I can't happening too much. Thomas, you got to be one of the most like friendly towards the Bengals Browns fans I've ever met in my life. No, there's not a lot of you that are like that.
All right, here I got it right here. I got to pull it up. Okay, the Jungle to the Hall rally in Canton is on July 19th. So you still got a little while. We got a little bit over a month before that happens.
July 19th. Wow. Okay, so I'm messed up. I thought it was like 2 weeks away.
Nah. I figure it was a while. So you have some time to plan for it. I might try and find my way out there.
Gonna be right at the beginning of training camp too. Interesting.
Yeah, I might try and find my way out there.
I'll do it. Take pictures if you get up there.
Thank you. You already know. You already know I would.
You can't take off work.
You already know I would. So anyway, so that's so yeah, I am very sympathetic to the Bengals fans, not because not because partially because I do this podcast, partially because I have a lot of friends that are Bengals fans and Cincinnati's right there. And it's more of a respect thing. Obviously I do wish that we beat y'all twice a year, obviously, but I'm not a douche about it. I remember being down at the stadium when the Browns played the Bengals and Baker Mayfield and Burrow went back and forth at each other. The Bengals fans were so chill. like Bengals fans are so chill. They're it just felt like a gathering of football fans, which is fun. I like. The stadium was a very relaxed atmosphere. I mean, they were passionate. They were passionate. There was a man with his son, and he was I can never get how he was just so into the game and him showing his son the game and everything. And I can see you doing that, Cal. And I have the utmost respect for that, and just seeing that and just seeing those people. So yeah, no, I my respect for the Bengals and the Bengals fan base is, is high. Y'all should have more than one Hall of Famer. Y'all only have one Hall of Famer, if I'm not mistaken, right? The Bengals only have one. It should be more than that. It should be more than that.
It's because we're such a small market team and we haven't really had a lot of success over the years. Now, I mean, I would think there should be more guys from the 70s and 80s, because in the 70s, the Bengals were kind of known for being, one of the hottest starts to an expansion team of all time.
Yeah.
We made the playoffs at the time faster than anybody had ever made the playoffs before. And then we went to the Super Bowl again relatively early for a team that had just started. What was it, 12 or so years before we made it to the Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I know things kind of tailed off in the 90s, and we only really had a resurgence of the team being consistently good in recent years, and in recent years it really hasn't been very good. But the early 2010s things got pretty good. But it's probably just got a lot to do with there hasn't been a lot of sustained success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to go ahead and start moving on to these these roster projections, because we probably don't want to spend too much time on this, because just one more thing before we get to the roster projections. I appreciate you saying all those nice things about the Bengals fans and whatnot. I can't sit here and say I've had the same experience with Browns fans. You've been awesome, Thomas. And when I went to OU, there were actually a lot of cool Browns fans up there. But when I was a kid, I had a lot of negative experiences with Browns fans. And
I believe it.
Honestly, I wasn't even really wanting to do this podcast at first, because I was like, man, then I got to deal with Browns fans. But it's actually been a really good experience so far. So
no, I believe it. Because, all right, so Browns fans, for one, they're very defensive. Browns fans can be very defensive because, victim mentality, everybody, this is disease. But, so Browns fans can be very defensive. And, I'm not, there have been times where, Browns fans could be so, negative towards other fan bases that it kind of gets out of hand. I have said multiple times that I think the Browns as a collective need to just take a break on Twitter for a little while, because we just be saying the most BS stuff sometimes. I said that multiple times.
There are some Bengals fans on Twitter who are kind of insane, honestly.
Yeah, maybe it's just the sport of football. But I mean, I still don't think. I think Browns fans are obnoxious, but I don't think they're as obtuse as Steelers fans were.
Well, when I was a kid, that was the Browns up until the mid 2000s. The Browns were the team that I thought, them and their fans just ugh. Especially after what y'all did to Tim Couch. But and then after the whole Palmer thing, obviously the Steelers kind of ramped up in there. They went and won 2 more Super Bowls, and they're like, oh, suddenly we just get to treat everybody like shit all the time. So.
Well, I mean, granted though, I mean, well, we still embrace what's his face. We still embrace Tim Couch.
Well, yeah, you sure let the other fucking defenses embrace him too.
Well, off the line, embrace him. By the way, the golfer I was thinking about, his name is Jason Day. Just want to say that. Last off topic thing.
All right, so anyway, let's go ahead and get into these roster projections because we probably took up way too much time actually getting to them.
Yep.
So I've shown on this, I forget exactly when, I think on one of the, possibly one of the live streams we did, something like that. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick and show you my roster projections for the Bengals. Are you seeing that right now?
Not yet.
No?
There.
Is that
Yep,
good?
I see it now.
Yep. Okay.
It's,
all right.
There you go.
So I don't think this will be too controversial, but this is pretty much what I'm seeing for the Bengals. Obviously, you got Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, the three amigos. Hopefully we're seeing the return of like back in the day we had Chris Henry, T.J. Hushmanzada, and Chad Johnson, and hoping for a bit of a return to that. Or you could even say A.J. Green, Mohamed Sanu, and Marvin Jones. And then in the back, we got Auden Tate, Trent Taylor, that punt returner we picked up from San Francisco. He's going to take over the Alex Erickson role as the sixth wide receiver on the roster who can also play a decent amount of special teams roles. And then the other guy I'm betting who's going to be on the roster is Mike Thomas, who seems to be somebody who Zach Taylor is a fan of. And honestly, other than that, it's like you got Stanley Morgan Jr., Riley Lees, and Trenton Irwin as your competition wide receivers. And I just don't see any of them beating out. I mean, maybe Stanley Morgan if he kind of takes a step in training camp this year, but I don't see it being anybody other than Mike Thomas on this one.
You sure ain't gonna cut Jamar Chase?
Well, yeah, Thomas. I'm gonna go ahead and probably put you want to do another jersey bet? Want to do another jersey bet on that one? I'm going to go ahead and take a wild guess here and say they're probably not going to cut Jamar Chase.
Man, I bet you if you want to make a real bet though about Jamar Chase though.
What's that?
Ooh, okay. Like how good do you think Jamar Chase is really going to be next year? Because I think he's going to go insane. I think I got
2021.
Yeah. I know rookies. I know receivers. They usually take a year and but the first season, like receivers historically, the first season is not like they use their second season where receivers take off. Like Metcalf took off his second season. Evans took off his second season for real. Who's another receiver that took off their second season? But it's the first season, the rookie season for receivers is always just like it's always a slow start. And I mean, like from my observation, if I'm not mistaken.
It wasn't for T. Higgins, but in fairness for that one, I think it was a little bit out of necessity because you're expecting A.J. Green to be like, a big pass catcher eater. Like,
yeah.
You think he was going to be like getting a lot of targets and doing a lot of production stuff like that, and he wasn't. And so you pretty much had to have T. Higgins get in there and really make an impact. Because there was nobody else really to do it. I mean, maybe Auden Tate because he had a little bit of experience. But, I mean, if T. Higgins was as good as we were expecting T. Higgins to be, then it seemed pretty unlikely that Auden Tate would beat him out for catches and stuff like that. So, the thing is, I think going forward, long-term, Jamar Chase is expected to be the number one. He's expected the guy to really lock down the X-receiver role and stuff like that. I think year one – just because you've got Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins there, I don't think it's going to be now. There is the previously existing connection with Joe Burrow, so he doesn't have to he's not coming at it from a disadvantage. Although that's also not necessarily an advantage because Joe Burrow does have a connection with Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins.
Okay, I see what you're getting at.
So if I had to put a number on it. I don't think he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver this year, but I'm thinking probably at least like 700, 800 maybe.
I can see that.
Yeah, like I mean, I could see him making an impact this year, but he's not going to be the primary receiver. He's not going to be the primary target anyway this year. He's going to he's going to get a lot of he's going to get more opportunities than I think you would expect out of a number 5 overall pick because you've got T Higgins and Tyler Boyd there, who are already going to be drawing attention, but I don't think it's going to be like, I don't think he's even going to approach T Higgins mark as far as like rookie receptions goes, let alone Chris Collinsworth's.
I'm looking at these cuts you get. The people you think they're going to get cut. Yeah. Who do you think on this cut list you think is going out on the biggest limb?
Who am I taking the biggest like
who do you think who are you not sure is going to get cut, but you're like you think is a cut guy?
I mean, I kind of just talked about this because I mean, looking at. By the way, I just want to point out the cuts. I also have a bunch of practice squad things. Like when I did my projections for the Browns, I didn't do the practice squad projections. So we'll see that here in a little bit. But on just the cuts, I'd say Stanley Morgan Jr. is the one that I'm thinking maybe he might beat out Mike Thomas. But other than that, as far as just the cuts go, I'm not really. I don't think really any of those guys I think might make the team. You go down to the practice squad. I think there's certainly the possibility you could have Kayvon Frazier make the team. You could maybe Fred Johnson could beat out Michael Jordan for a spot on the team. Rennell Wren, I could totally see him making the team. I'm not totally sold. Mason Schreck, he keeps on popping up on this roster, even though every offseason seems like there's not a place for him. But, he's a really good player, and I think he spent time on the practice squad before, but he keeps popping up. Travion Williams, I mean, no, because I think Travion Williams could beat out Samaje Perine. That's just a guess on my end right now. Puka Williams, Cheyenne O'Grady, the troubled tight end who the Bengals managed to get in college free agency. That I mean, it kind of reminds me of Vontaze Burfict because he's got a lot of character concerns, but he's insanely talented. So if you can get any production out of him, I could see him maybe carving out a spot for him on the roster. Wyatt Hubert, our 7th round draft pick, who when I originally made these projections, I didn't really know who Wyatt Hubert was, but since then I've done some research on him. It seems like the Bengals actually got him at a bit of a steal in the 7th round. So maybe he could beat out Khalid Kareem. I don't know. It just seems like, super early to give up on Khalid Kareem, but most of the guys who I'm like kind of on the fence with are the practice squad guys, not so much the cut guys.
Yeah, I feel it. I see what you're getting at. Okay. All right, cool. Good job doing your research.
Yeah. On the offensive line, this one's going to be a little controversial. I think I've talked about it on the podcast before, but I got Jonah Williams, left tackle. That's not controversial. Hakeem Adeniji as his backup. Riley Reif, right tackle, also not particularly controversial with Deontay Smith as backup as kind of like a developmental, maybe one day he'll take over for Riley Reif kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Jackson Carman at right guard, I think that's pretty much assumed. Trey Hopkins at center. Now that isn't necessarily going to be week 1 because he's hurt, and he probably won't make it back for week 1. So I think the plan right now is to have Billy Price start until Trey Hopkins can come back, which that might not be the best idea. So again, we're getting back to these practice squad guys. Maybe Tria Hill beats out Billy Price. I don't know, but we'll see. But then the left guard, that's the part that's going to be controversial among Bengals fans. I think Xavier Su'a-Filo is going to be the starting left guard because, I mean, he was hurt most of last year. A lot of people forget that. When he did play, he was in general looked better, in my opinion, than Quentin Spain. I think Quentin Spain is a really good rotational interior lineman, but I think Xavier Su'a-Filo, if he's on his game, if he is healthy and recovered from his injury, I think Xavier Su'a-Filo is the better player, like the more talented player. So, I mean, I would project that, Xavier Su'a-Filo would be the starting left guard and Quentin Spain would be the the first interior guy off the bench. So I mean, I got Michael Jordan as the left guard backup, but I think Quentin Spain is going to come in if anybody needs backed up at all. Like I don't think it's got to like this depth chart isn't nearly as rigid as it looks. By the way, I'm getting a lot of my I'm getting my list of players and my formatting from ourlads.com. It's a really good website for projecting how the depth chart's going to look before a team releases an official depth chart. They have it for all 32 NFL teams, and I just find it to be a really good resource. I also did it for later on. We'll look at the Browns projections that I made. I got that from ourlads.com too.
Okay. Shout out to ourlads.com.
Yep. At tight end, I got Drew Sample, CJ Uzama, and Thaddeus Moss. It seems now again we're talking about, potentially you could see somebody else making the roster over Thaddeus Moss because maybe he's not the most talented guy. But again, you got that Joe Burrow, that pre-existing Joe Burrow connection. You got the work ethic that he has expressed so far. That really kind of reminds you of his dad, Randy Moss, in a lot of ways. So I think Drew Sample, CJ Uzama, and honestly, CJ Uzama is probably going to be a starting tight end. Right now, I've kind of got him as the backup because, I think Drew Sample is the guy who they're expecting more out of because of his draft positioning. But CJ Uzama, I think, is right now the better tight end, so he's probably going to be starting, but it's ultimately not really going to matter. I can see them kind of peppering them both in there a lot. Then you got Thad Moss, who I think is going to kind of be like, that H-back type role, the guy who can kind of he like the F tight end, H-back, like just somebody who can kind of come in and play that utility role in various different sets. And like I said, kind of give Joe Burrow kind of like a security blanket type because from what I understand, Thaddeus Moss was his best friend at LSU. So seems weird that they go out and sign him and then he wouldn't end up making the roster.
Yeah, I just feel like they're just trying to get like all of Joe Burrow boys around him.
Yeah, LSU North, that's what they've been calling us.
Yeah.
So at quarterback now, Thomas, I know this one is going to be a bit of a shock to you, but I've got the starting quarterback for the Bengals in 2021 is going to be Joe Burrow.
Oh, for real? You sure it's not going to be Brandon Allen?
It's not going to be Brandon Allen, no. Although I do have Brandon Allen being the backup because I think what we saw out of Brandon Allen last year was, in my opinion, as good of an audition tape to be the backup quarterback as any.
Yeah.
I think we got one of the better backup situations in the NFL right now, which is nice to say because we haven't really had that since A.J. McCarron. But other options, you got like Kyle Shermer, who's Pat Shermer's son. He's currently on the roster. You got Eric Dungy or Dungy or whatever. Previously spent a little bit of time on the Browns. I think is like a practice guy. I don't think he ever actually made the team. But out of all those guys, I think maybe Kyle Shermer might stick around as like a practice squad guy to just as like to play scout team. But I think Brandon Allen and Joe Burrow are going to be the only two quarterbacks on the roster. And,
this website is great, by the way. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it generally gets updated pretty quickly too. So like when the team makes a signing, they'll be on top of it.
What's crazy to me is just like all these websites that are just designed for football.
Because football is like a money machine.
Yeah, it is. It is. And yeah, there's this crazy amount of information that just overanalyze football.
At running back, I got obviously Joe Mixon starting. This one's not going to be too difficult because it's going to be Joe Mixon starting. Chris Evans is most likely. We drafted Chris Evans in the 6th round, but we drafted him to be kind of like that Giovanni Bernard replacement. And the main reason why it seems like Chris Evans fell in the draft, like he could have been a much higher draft pick based on his talent and potential and stuff like that, but because he had some like academic issues at Michigan, and as a result didn't get as much playing time because of it. He didn't get showcased as much, and you didn't really get to see quite as much as what he could do. But my thought process is, if he's competing for a backup spot, he should be right in there. I don't think it should be too much of a question that I mean, unless Chris Evans gets out there and he's rusty, he's terrible, he can't do anything, then, we'll put him to the side and whatever. It was a sixth round draft pick. If it screws up, then it screws up and whatever. But I think Chris Evans is going to show that he's worth that being Giovanni Bernard's replacement. He's even taken his number 25. And so,
Wow.
Joe Mixon, Chris Evans. And then I got Samaje Perine making the third running back spot. Could easily be Travion Williams, because Travion Williams is another one of the guys like Chris Evans who, because of, XYZ thing, for him, it's more so injuries that he hasn't really been able to showcase his potential. But he has a pretty decent amount of potential. But I think Samaje Perine's got a little bit more experience. He's shown us a little bit more of what he can do. And I think that when push comes to shove, he's probably going to beat Travion Williams out for that third starting position. Or not starting, but that backup role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On defense, I got Joseph Osai, and at defensive end, it's gonna be weird because I'm not really sure what the Bengals are gonna run this year because they got so many guys who can like run in like a 3-4 system or a 4-3 system. They're like, I've seen the Bengals run like 5-2 bear. I've seen them run a bunch of weird defensive schemes. So it's really hard to like call anybody one particular thing. So just, if we're just talking about in terms of edge rushers, we got Joseph Osai, who I think is going to get the starting position, possibly over Sam Hubbard, because now that might not happen because Sam Hubbard's got the experience and he's pretty good. But what I would personally do, I think Joseph Osai, if he actually hits the level that, because there are some people projecting him to possibly be a first round pick. So I don't think it's crazy to say that he could potentially be a starter this year. And it'd be interesting to see him get the starting spot over Sam Hubbard. Or even if it's not, a starting spot, it's like, it'd be one of those things where both those guys would be rotational players who would both be taking up a bunch of the snaps. And then it really doesn't even really matter who the starter is. So I personally like Osai's potential over Sam Hubbard's. That's why I got him in the starting spot, but it's really kind of interchangeable here. But I think Joseph Osai is also a much bigger help to the pass rush, which, that's something we really need help in this year. And then on the other side, I got Trey Hendrickson, Cam Sample, and Khalid Kareem. I got him making the roster over Wyatt Hubert. But at the same time, the more I hear about Wyatt Hubert, the more I think maybe he could make the roster over Khalid Kareem. But then again, I think the Bengals took Khalid Kareem in the 5th round, expecting him to be a 5th round talent. The Bengals got Wyatt Hubert as a steal, but I think they were also expecting him to be a 5th round talent. So in theory, Wyatt Hubert and Khalid Kareem are kind of, the same talent level. So it really just kind of depends on, experience. And that's part of why I got Khalid Kareem making it over Wyatt Hubert. And then Wyatt Hubert spends some time on the practice squad. Maybe makes it in the future. Who knows? But I really like this setup because the only guy who I think is going to be a true starter is going to be Trey Hendrickson. And then other than that, you got Osai, Hubbard, Cam Sample, and maybe even, the 5th guy, just rotating in and out based on the situation. And none of them are really starters, but none of them really need to start because they all bring their own flavor to the defensive line. That's defensive tackle. I don't think the starters here are particularly up for debate. You got DJ Reader, obviously. When he was healthy for us last year, he looked like a great free agent signing. Hopefully he returns to that level. You got Larry Ogunjobi, who's the only real 3 tech we have on the roster. And
shout out to Ogunjobi.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people questioning about, his like consistency and his motor and stuff like that. I do think it's pretty much impossible to try to say that he's not the best 3 tech on the roster. So you got to have him starting. And I had Rennell Wren being the odd man out on this. Rennell Wren and Khalil McKenzie, but to be honest with you, I don't really believe Khalil McKenzie has much of a shot at the roster at all. I got Rennell Wren being the odd man out in this group, though, because I think they're only going to carry 5 defensive tackles. And I think Josh Dupeau, who actually opted out last year, I think if he comes back in shape and ready to go, he's the kind of guy who a lot of Bengals fans remember for chasing down Lamar Jackson. Like he outran Lamar Jackson to bring him down. I think it was a preseason game or something, but he outran Lamar Jackson to bring Lamar Jackson down when Lamar Jackson otherwise would have scored a touchdown. So, I mean, just from potential alone, I think Josh Tupou should be able to make the roster. Probably as the final guy, but still, I think he could be there. Linebacker, this is, in my opinion, not nearly as interesting because we didn't really make too many headways in linebacker. We didn't really improve it or do anything with it, so it's going to be the same as last year. I think it's going to be Akeem Davis-Gaither, Jermaine Pratt, and Logan Wilson, backed up by Marcus Bailey, Joe Bachie, and Jordan Evans. Now, Joe Bachie is a new guy who we signed from Philadelphia, who a lot of Bengals fans are excited about. I don't know if I'm that excited about him, but we don't really have anybody else for that sixth linebacker spot since Josh Bynes is gone. So got to have somebody, and I think he probably makes more sense than Keandre Jones. And then the really interesting part of the roster here, because of all the moves we made at cornerback. You know, you got Darius Phillips, Eli Apple, Chidobe Awuzie, Ricardo Allen, Trey Waynes, Mike Hilton. Literally the only guy on that list who is like a Bengal guy is Darius Phillips. Literally none of those other guys played for the Bengals last year. Trey Waynes because he got hurt. But even then, right now, pretty much everyone still thinks of Trey Waynes as a Minnesota Vikings cornerback. And because he is. Darius Phillips is a Bengal, but he's also inconsistent. Not a lot of people believe in him. But you got those 5 other guys. Literally none of those guys played for the Bengals last year. Literally everybody who the Bengals did play last year is let's see, I don't even have any of those guys making – I got Winston Rose making the practice squad. And that's it. That's it. I got Tony Brown getting cut. I got Jalen Davis getting cut. I got Donnie Lewis Jr. getting cut. Just everybody's getting cut. We didn't bring back Mackenzie Alexander, even though I thought he maybe should have been. We didn't bring back William Jackson. Everybody's gone except Darius Phillips, and I think that was just because his contract wasn't up. So yeah, cornerback, pretty easy to come up with. At safety, you got Jesse Bates, obviously, might be the best player on the team right now, and then Von Bell, backed up by Travion Henderson and Brandon Wilson. And then special teams, you got Kevin Huber, the punter, Evan McPherson, our new kicker, who I'm hoping will finally bring us back to the days of having a reliable kicker, which we basically haven't had since like early career Shane Graham, because he got trailed off near the end of his career. But I know a lot of people love Mike Nugent. I thought that there were times that Mike Nugent was great, but there were also times where he wasn't great. Same goes for Randy Bullock. We had the opportunity with Jake Elliott, but we didn't take it. Hopefully we finally get it here with Evan McPherson. Then you got the indelible long snapper, Clark Harris. He's going to be coming back, obviously. Holder, Kevin Huber. I didn't even project that. That was just already there on our lads. KO, I think that's kickoff. Going to be Evan McPherson. Punt returner, Darius Phillips. Kick returner, Brandon Wilson. Because we just don't really have anybody else to. Oh wait, no. I lied. That was who Spotrack had on there, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think our new friend Trent Taylor is going to come in here and probably replace Brandon Wilson as the kick returner. And then actually Brandon Wilson is probably going to be the punt returner. You're not going to have Darius Phillips doing any returning duties, I don't think. So it's going to be Trent Taylor at kick return, Brandon Wilson at punt return, I think. So that's the Bengals roster. Then you got Kyle Shermer, Trey Hill, Winston Rose, Puka Williams Jr., Cheyenne O'Grady, Wyatt Hubert, Scotty Washington, Amani Bledsoe, Travion Williams, Mason Schreck, Wren, Austin Siebert, Kayvon Frazier, Fred Johnson as the practice squad guys. And by the way, I got these listed out this way because the practice squad rules from last year are no longer in effect, but they did expand the practice squad to include veterans going forward. Like that's no longer just a COVID rule thing. So I believe this is what it is. Like, you got 6 veterans, 2 of which can have like I think 2+ years of accumulated experience, and then the remaining players have to all be like I think less than 2 years of experience. So what do you think about those projections, Thomas?
First of all, I think that you've done tremendous research. Looking at the Bengals roster, the offense excites me, obviously. Well, the offense have aspects that excite me. I like the fact that y'all going young behind Mixon for running back. I think that's great. Jamar Chase
with running back.
Yeah, obviously. Obviously, I'm very excited about Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. That's a combination. See how those 3 match together. So, offense, I'm pretty excited to see what happens. Hopefully that offensive line could get together next year. Defense, the cornerback, yes. Cornerback, yes. Much improved on cornerback. Cornerback.
Well, in theory, yes. There's a bunch of additions who,
on
until
paper,
we see what they actually do, we don't know what's going to happen because you can never, you can't simulate chemistry.
Yeah. So on paper, cornerback looks good. Cornerback looks good for Browns too on paper, but that line concerns me. I mean, Ogunjobi's good, but he's not spectacular. If that makes sense.
Well, the thing about the offensive line is you're really just hoping that the new additions work out. I mean, you're expecting Cam Sample, who again had like a 90-something insane pass rushing grade in college, but he also played for Tulane. So you wonder, can he come in and be a rotational pass rusher and really make an impact? Can Trey Hendrickson really be as great as he was in New Orleans and Cincinnati without all that extra help that he had? But then again, maybe he does get the help. Maybe Larry Ogunjobi and Trey Hendrickson can team up and help each other out.
Yeah. Henderson, that's the one that y'all got from the Saints, right?
Yeah.
No, he's a beast. Yeah, he's a beast. I like him. I think he's gonna be a good pickup for y'all.
And he is a worker too.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely got more talent than I did last year. Last year, look at your defensive depth chart, you just like, where am I going to get productions from our defense? And like this year, at least you can say like, well, at least we have a good secondary. And then like you have pieces there. I mean, I still think the Bengals could possibly make the playoffs. And for me, honestly, you know what it is that maybe one of these what's the book out on Chris Evans out of curiosity? The backup running back. What did you say he was? Where you say y'all got him from? Y'all draft him, or did y'all?
We drafted him 6th round from Michigan.
Okay.
We actually got him for the pick that we got for trading away Ryan Finley. We got Chris Evans with.
Well, you gotta realize on that running back position. That running back position is crazy because you got a lot of people. You have a lot of great running backs that come out of that are undrafted or come out of the late rounds.
Well, again, and like I said earlier, the thing about Chris Evans is you got to remember that, I mean, if he lived up to his potential, like his actual physical potential, and how good he could have been, he could have been like, one of those great running backs from this draft class. The problem is he got himself into academic trouble and he didn't get as many snaps. He ended up kind of getting more or less kind of replaced in the Michigan backfield because I think he was kind of pissing the coach off. Don't really know exactly what was happening, but Chris Evans has all the potential in the world to be a very good running back.
I mean, he
also doesn't need to be because we got Joe Mixon.
I mean, he got academic trouble at Michigan, though. Michigan, Michigan is a really good school. So, it's not like he got academic trouble at some scrub school.
Well, yeah, but I think the academic trouble that he got in was like plagiarism or something like that. It wasn't like he didn't get good grades. He did something that got him in academic trouble.
So he just want to go on academic.
So it was poor decision making, and you got to give him a red flag for poor decision making. But at the same time, I think the price that he paid for that decision, and it's probably a hell of a lot higher than he really deserved to pay for it.
Yeah, I got you. You know, like I like what the Bengals are doing. Like, you guys are considering where y'all were, for this to be a rebuild year. Now, I like what y'all doing. I love what y'all doing. I love this. What I was getting at that running back is, I really think that what the Browns are doing with having two great running backs, I think that's something that having multiple good running backs is something that's going to be needed in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I just don't think that Mixon can do it by himself. So, hopefully he turns out to be great for y'all.
Yeah, well, that's actually, you say that, but what the Bengals are actually planning on doing, and Brian Callahan, the offensive coordinator, specifically said this, but the idea with drafting Chris Evans is you've got somebody who hopefully you can count on if something happens to Joe Mixon, but Brian Callahan specifically said he doesn't want Joe Mixon to come off the field. He wants Joe Mixon to be the guy all the time, as much as possible.
All right, Joe. Your team, Joe. You got the keys to the Jaguars, Joe. Don't crash it.
Well, I think Joe Burrow's got the keys to the Jaguar, but
yeah, he does.
Joe Mixon's gonna be riding shotgun.
No, Joe Burrow got the keys to the Jet.
That's true. All right. So yeah, like I said, that's the Bengals roster. If I had, like I said, if I had to pick one of these cuts that I'm not quite as solid on, it's either Travion Williams versus Samaje Perine. I'm not quite as solid on that one because honestly, neither I absolutely love, but also both I believe have potential. So it's really hard to figure out exactly what I think is going to happen there. Another one is, Josh Tupou or Renell Wren. I think either of them could make that. Khalid Kareem versus Wyatt Hubert. There's going to be some interesting camp battles that we'll talk about more when training camp kind of gets started. And we'll kind of go back to these projections that we made and kind of be like, hey, so who do we think is going to, be the most likely to maybe not make it that we thought was going to make it. And it'll be interesting to kind of just go back on this and look at what happened. But yeah, like I said, this is what I'm right now expecting is going to happen. And also another thing that could happen before training camp starts, we could have additions. Like, it seems like they're probably done making additions to the roster right now, but you never know. They could throw in another couple of guys here and there before the season starts, and then that could just mess this whole thing up. But we'll see. But anyway, we need to go ahead and I don't even know how long we've been talking about the Bengals here, but we probably need to go ahead and move on to the Browns projections. So apologies about the formatting getting kind of weird on this one, but
you're okay. I gotta help you out with this one. You need to.
This is pretty much what I'm expecting to see from the Browns roster.
Okay.
Probably the most notable thing on the entire roster is I got Cody Parkey winning the kicker job over Chase McLaughlin.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably the biggest. I actually going to talk about that one. The most
important battle of the entire camp right there.
Yeah, it probably is actually. You know how much how I feel about kicker. So you have all right, so I'm looking at this. So for punt return and kick return, you have Peoples-Jones and Schwartz.
Yeah.
Anthony Schwartz.
I absolutely think Anthony Schwartz. And I assume Donovan Peoples-Jones will probably be pulling some duties as well.
Well, I really want to take time to talk about JoJo Notson. JoJo Notson. Yeah. So he was supposed they brought him in. Isn't the receiver they brought in from the Rams, right?
Yeah,
so Yeah. So I thought that he, you think that he would be a let me make sure I'm referencing the right guy real quick. Yeah. So he was so the guy they brought in, he was a big punt returner for JoJo was a big punt returner for the Rams. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was a big kickoff returner for the Rams. And he had some punt returns for the Rams too. So and he's really fast. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try and put him in that punt return role, that kick return role. But honestly,
Maybe, but I think Anthony Schwartz was by far and away one of the best kick punt returners from this most recent draft period. So that's part of the reason why I actually had JoJo Natson making the roster over Kadarius Hodge, because I feel like that aspect of Kadarius Hodge's game is not going to be as necessary.
Exactly. I think so. You're right. So Kadarius Hodges is not going to make the roster. Derrick Willis is not going to make the roster. There's a log jam at receiver right now. So obviously Odell Jarvis, Odell Jarvis, Peoples Jones. Who's the other one? Who I'm missing? Odell Jarvis, Peoples Jones, Anthony Schwartz. Those four are going to make it for sure because you just drafted Anthony Schwartz. And Higgins. That's what I'm missing. Higgins. Those five are in no matter what. Those are 5 receivers. You're probably going to put Willies on a practice squad, possibly. JoJo Natson might make it, but everybody else, no, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
That's the thing.
That's 6 receivers already.
You're not going to have Odell and Jarvis not make it. You're not going to have, after the rookie season Donovan Peoples-Jones had, he's a lock. Rashard Higgins, you could maybe make the argument that he's not a lock. He looked really good. But at the same time, if somebody comes in and kicks his ass in camp, I could maybe see him being like a surprise kind of guy who doesn't make the roster. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think that I definitely think Rashard Higgins is too good to let that happen.
Higgins is a good third receiver.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is, if somebody comes in and looks like a better third receiver, then he could potentially like if Anthony Schwartz shows up and Anthony Schwartz is just great right away, then Rashard Higgins might end up being expendable.
Well, this is definitely Rashard Higgins last year in Cleveland because I think that Peoples Jones is going to end up taking his place. I think the Browns are already gearing up to replace their current receivers anyway. I think the Browns receiver core is going to be Peoples Jones, Jarvis Landry, Anthony Schwartz.
Well, that's the thing.
That's going to be.
I think Rashard Higgins is a really good player, and part of me kind of hopes that when his time does run up in Cleveland, that he ends up in Cincinnati. I'd like to see him.
Maybe.
But
he's a good receiver, but he's not.
Right now, I think as long as he's willing to play that fourth role, which I don't see why he wouldn't be. I don't see why the Browns would get rid of him, but I do think it is possible that if he doesn't really step up, and then maybe one of these other guys like Derrick Willis, the guy that you the wide receiver that y'all picked up out of after the draft back in 2018, I think. I think he's better than a lot of people give him credit for, personally.
Yeah, me too.
And I think he could potentially make a bit of a run at Rashard Higgins' job if Rashard Higgins doesn't, prove that he deserves to keep a roster spot. Because and then maybe JoJo Natson doesn't make the team. I'm not saying JoJo Natson's a lock by any means. Although I do think Anthony Schwartz is probably also a lock because he's the 3rd round pick. So,
he definitely made the team. Yeah,
he didn't make the roster. And then you got, like I said, you got Jarvis, you got Odell, you got Peoples-Jones. They're all locks. So 4 of those spots are pretty tightly locked in. And then I think Rashard Higgins is probably going to make the roster too. But there's a little bit of wiggle room there, I think.
Yeah. So that's probably
going to see the cut. Natson, I just thought he was going to win a battle for the 6th spot. I'm not calling him a lock by any means.
So all right, so tight end, you have you're gonna have Hooper. You have a log jam tight end too. So Hooper, Harris.
You got Hooper. Some of these. You got some of these some of the competition here, like Jordan Franks and Kyle Lauletta, I think is his name. Yeah. I think those guys on other teams that are less log jammy at tight end, I think those guys could probably make a roster. But they're not doing it in Cleveland where you got Austin Hooper, Harrison Bryant, and David Njoku. It's just not happening.
Yeah. You got 3 really good tight ends right there. The thing is, though.
Caliber tight ends right there.
I know. It's Barrison Rich is a tight end. But, right. Kevin Stancy do like to run that 3 tight end set. so he does like using receivers. So they're gonna at least keep 4 tight ends.
You think they're going to keep 4? Well, then you have to get rid of somebody.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think they're going. That's why I think they're going to go light on receiver. I think they're going to cut a lot of receivers so they can keep.
You think you're only going to keep 5 receivers?
Possibly, I wouldn't be surprised.
That'd be interesting.
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if they did that. Like honestly, though. So you have if you have Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Darvin Peoples-Jones, Higgins, and then you have Shorts. Do you really need another receiver?
So who we get? So what would we do? We get rid of JoJo Natson then?
Yeah, I'll probably get rid of JoJo.
Probably.
I don't know, but I can see that. I can see them keeping a 4th receiver. I'm just saying I can see them keeping a 4th, not 4th receiver, 4th tight end. I could totally see them keeping a 4th tight end.
If we're getting a 4th tight end, who do you think? I think Kyle Lauletta, but what do you think? Jordan Franks, Connor Davis, maybe. Steven Carlson, even.
I want to say I'll probably say
I think
Stephen Carlton. Yeah, I think it'd probably be Stephen Carlton, right? Yeah.
I think so. I think he's had his chance, but
maybe but he was on the team last year, right? Wasn't he on the team last year? Was he on the team last year? If I'm mistaken.
Stephen Carlson. I think he was like he was.
He was waived and then he was active, but he was I think
he was a preseason member and he was up and down, but I don't think he was ever like a consistent member of the team. Yeah,
I'm looking at that right now. He was look at his player history. He's been on and off of waivers. All right, so I don't know which one to keep him. I'll be honest with you, but I definitely could see them keeping a 4th tight end because they do like to run that 3 tight end set.
You said Stephen Carlson, so I guess we'll keep him up there. Yeah, he's a tight end. Okay, good. So we're dealing with that. We're dealing with Stephen Carlson, Kyle Lauletta. I don't know why I thought he was a tight end.
Hey man, maybe he was in his past life. Freaking Tim Tebow's a tight end. All right.
Maybe that's what I was thinking. Maybe I was thinking they were converting him to tight end or something.
Let's see. Offensive line, pretty self-explanatory. Wyatt Teller.
I don't think you can really argue with that starting offensive line at all.
Yeah, and then you got your backups. You got they're good on even backups.
You got cutting Alex Taylor, Cordell Iwagwu, Mike Hance, Javon Patterson, Greg Sinnott, and Colby Gossett. None of whom I've ever even heard of.
But you still got freaking Nick Harris and Chris Hubbard, just chilling there just in case.
Well, and my boy James Hudson.
Yeah, no, they're set. They're set off. They're set off.
Yeah, I mean James Hudson, he's going to be kind of like Deontay Smith for the Bengals. I think he's going to be like a developmental tackle for possibly if Jack Conklin ends up moving on in the future.
So quarterbacks on Baker Mayfield, Case Keenum, and Kyle Lauletta.
You think they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks?
No, I doubt it. Too much
talent. Baker Mayfield and Case Keenum.
Yeah, too much talent in this roster. No way. There's no way you need it. You're paying way too much for a backup quarterback anyway, so I don't think they will. I think the only way they pick up a 3rd quarterback is if Baker Mayfield get injured, obviously. What is it? Running back. Now, this one is actually interesting. So, obviously, you have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt as your 2 running backs. Do you keep Dearness Johnson? Now, I do like the production that you got out of Dearness Johnson last year, but they did just draft a running back. They drafted they drafted that guy. Wait, hold on. Let me see what his name. Yeah. Now I don't think that he's gonna like that running back out. He's out of North UCLA. Yeah, I don't think that you. I like the Dearness Johnson. I think the Dearness Johnson got a lot of potential. Especially for a 3rd running back.
I thought he's so far looked pretty decently good.
Yes.
Demetric Felton, I think, could make the roster, but it's not like the Bengals drafted a guy in the 6th round too, but it was a guy who's got a lot of high potential, and they really kind of needed to fill a backup role. Whereas I think Dearness Johnson, I think he proved that he deserves a spot on the roster. And I think Demetric Felton, I think you just stick him on the practice squads. Nobody's going to go get him.
Yep, I completely agree with you. I don't think that I don't think you mess with that running back room at all. Because Dearness Johnson is a very capable 3rd running back, honestly, Dearness Johnson on a lot of rosters would be a number 2 running back. I'm not messing with that guy at all. I like that. I'm with you. Put this Felton guy. I mean, he might have great camp. If you have a great camp, then maybe you can put him at the 4th running back. But I'm not. I mean, like he has to be at Dearness Johnson. I don't see that happening. So running back, you're set. So
and
our
then
offense.
You got the man, the myth, the legend, Andy Janovich, filling the fullback role, which doesn't exist anymore on most teams, but apparently exists on the Browns.
Hey man, fullback is important, man.
It's really not though.
Well, you know what's funny though is that what's funny is last year a lot of Browns fans or not last year, the year before last when we had Freddie Kitchen, a lot of Browns fans were clamoring over a fullback. They're saying that we need a fullback, and they went out and got this guy.
Andy Janovich, yeah, he's really good.
And he's been doing a great. I mean, like, look, man, anyway, if you could buy your quarterback an extra couple of seconds, that extra half a second by having a good blocking fullback, or you could open up, or you could open up a lane, you could do whatever kind of strategy stuff. It's not a bad thing to have.
I guess not. And with the way that Kevin Stefanski likes to run his offense, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like from a Bengals perspective, the reason the Bengals don't keep a fullback is because you could just use that as an excuse to stick another tight end on the roster. And
Sure.
especially a team like the Bengals that likes to run a lot of empty sets. Why would you even bother with a fullback?
It's true.
But I mean, yeah, that definitely seems like a thing Kevin Stefanski would like to have. And if you're going to have any fullback in the NFL, you probably want Kyle Juszczyk. But if you're going to have any other fullback in the NFL, you probably want Andy Janovich.
Yeah. All right, let's tackle this defense.
Yep.
Defense for me is very interesting because you got a lot of new pieces in defense.
Spoiler alert, I got Myles Garrett as your starting left defensive end.
Yeah, me too. I mean, dude's just a monster. What else can you say about Myles Garrett? Now
he's got great whack-a-mole skills.
For the cuts on defense, this is going to be hard for me for cuts on defense because, like, I can tell you the players that I definitely going to know is going to make it, right? So obviously, Myles Garrett going to make it. Jordan Elliott, if I'm not mistaken, he was hurt last year, right?
Yeah.
So he was hurt last year, so I'm really excited to see what he could do this year. I'm very excited to see what he could do this year.
See, here's the thing. I had a lot of where I had the most trouble making my cuts for the Browns was at defensive tackle. Everywhere else, I didn't have that much trouble, but defensive tackle, y'all is loaded at defensive tackle.
Because they brought in a lot of players in. They brought in a lot of players to try to solve this problem.
I think you got Malik Jackson, who I think is obviously starting. And I mean, right now, Andrew Billings is the other starter. But I don't know if he's going to stay the starter. I got him projected as a starter for week 1 just because of experience. But I think Tommy Togiai could be a really good 3-tech for you guys. Like a great replacement for Larry Ogunjobi. And then, the 2 other guys who I really believe in, and I'm honestly kind of salty that you guys ended up with both of these guys. Marvin Wilson is a guy who was talked about as potentially like a first-round draft pick last year. Like in a lot of the 2 early mock drafts, Marvin Wilson was one of those guys who a lot of people were talking about as maybe a first, early second-round draft pick, and then he did not have a good experience in 2020. So he got knocked down draft boards a lot, but his potential was through the roof. And Malik McDowell is another one of those guys. Like, I mean, he didn't have a great start to his NFL career, but he's a former second-round draft pick. That was one guy I was kind of hoping the Bengals would target back in the day, and we didn't end up getting him. But like back when I was thinking, Geno Atkins is still, you still got some potential out of Geno Atkins. Maybe we could finally find somebody to play complement next to him in defensive tackle. Malik McDowell was one of those guys I was definitely looking at, and I guess he never really panned out in San Francisco. But he's on the Browns, and I could totally see him taking up that final spot. But then again, going up against you got like Damian Square, you got Sheldon Day, Jordan Elliott. I mean, it's tough to try to find guys It's tough to say who exactly is going to be on that final list because you can't have all those guys. It's like the Bengals with the defensive backs. It's like they signed so many guys, so some talented guy is not going to make the roster.
By the way, I want to say this: there are a lot of reports out there that say that there's a good chance that Sheldon Richardson, the Browns go back and re-sign Sheldon Richardson.
Jesus.
To a more team friendly deal. I think though I had a problem with Sheldon Richardson wasn't the fact that they didn't like his production. I think they just thought that they gave him too much money.
Yeah, definitely.
Why give him that money in the first place? Which
Probably
I guess you gotta overpay to bring people to Cleveland. I mean, I like Sheldon Richardson. I thought he was very productive. But so obviously so they're gonna try and bring him back. Which is what a lot of people were saying, which I'm reading a lot. I heard on the radio a lot. It's not written in stone, but there are a lot of the Browns are trying to. I can actually read this report out to you right now. Sheldon Richardson, Cleveland.com has it. Sheldon Richardson still on the Browns radar. Cleveland.com, and the person who wrote that article was a person. Mary Kay Cabin, actually.
A person.
Mary Kay Cabin was the person who wrote that.
Okay.
Shout out to you, Mary Kay Cabin. She does always doing a great job. Always doing a great job. Frequently mentioned on this podcast. Mary Kay Cabin. Can't talk about the Browns without talking about her. She does a great job. So I mean, like you said, it's very exciting. I mean, like, just looking at the Browns roster is always exciting on defense because you have so many different pieces to see how this defense is going to work. It's going to be really hard. I don't know who's going to get cut, who's going to stay. Obviously, when you get to young players, it's going to be about which young player you think had the highest upside, which is very exciting. This is a very exciting position to be in. Just picking which one you think is going to have the highest upside. So that's fun. When we start getting these linebackers, you got Jacobs Phillips, JOK, Mac Wilson, Anthony Walker.
Yeah, I'll be honest. When I was projecting the middle linebacker, I wasn't really sure who the Browns were going to put at that position. I mean, like Jacob Phillips and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah seemed like locks to me, more or less.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Malcolm Smith could kind of go back to the player he used to be, and he could take one of those positions. But right now, I think it's a pretty obviously Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and Jacob Phillips. Middle linebacker is a little harder for me, though. I thought Anthony Walker was fine, but not great.
Yeah. It's funny. I think they're gonna I think that we want to see less of Mac Wilson next year too. Which is kind of upsetting because I like Mac Wilson, but like up and down. He's up and down. Sometimes he has great games, sometimes he doesn't. That defense was not good last year. So yeah. So that's interesting. When we talk about safety, do you want to say anything else about middle linebacker at all?
No, that was literally all I had to say at all about middle linebacker. All right, cool. I don't know what's going on there.
All right, so now let's look at the secondary. Now this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun because just like the Bengals, the Browns went out and revamped their secondary. So you went out and you got Rodney Harris last year in the trade with Jacksonville, which is actually a great trade because I love Rodney Harris. I think Rodney Harris
is a great pickup.
But the thing is though, is like he's not even going to be like he might not even be our best. He's definitely not going to be our best safety, but he's not going to be our
Well, especially he might not even be John Johnson right there.
Well, yeah, I just about to say Johnson,
and then also like at free safety, you got Grant Delpit, who I
was just about to say that too. Okay,
you want to talk about guys who don't get like Grant Delpit has gotten a lot of talk. I don't think he's gotten enough talk for how good he could be.
I'm just so excited about this Browns defense though, because I was excited. Okay, I was excited about Grant Delpit 2 years ago. I watched the bowl game. I watched one of his bowl games with him at LSU. Oh my God, he's so freaking good. Man, he's so good. He's so good. Like he's all over the place. Like when you hear a defensive player's name called that much, it's impressive. So you got Delpit, you got John Johnson, who we picked up from the Rams this offseason. Harris, So you got some good safeties there. LeCounty Richards, did we just draft him?
Richard LeCount, he was a fifth round safety that y'all drafted, who actually I thought was a little bit of a, not so much a steal in the idea that I thought that he was going to get drafted earlier, but a steal in the idea that I think he was undervalued.
I got you.
As a prospect this year. I thought he was, like I would have personally, if the Bengals needed a safety, I would have been considering him as early as like maybe the third round.
Huh.
Personally.
Oh, that's exciting.
But at the same time, I don't think he's even, like, I don't think his potential comes even close to Grant Delpit.
Yeah. No, Grant Delpit, like that kid is going to be something special. All right, so these cornerbacks, these cornerbacks, and this is going to be fun too. So you definitely gonna have Greg Newsome, the guy that we just drafted in the first round. Grady Williams was had some injury trouble from last year, and he barely seen the field. I believe it was nerve damage. Troy Hill is going to be your slot corner. He's a really great corner. Man, he's a great corner. Obviously, going to have Denzel Ward. Who am I forgetting here? Let me see what you got on the list. Yeah, you got Shorts.
Yeah, Grady Williams.
Yeah, I think Grady Williams.
Oh, okay.
I
got MJ Stewart Jr.
Yeah,
as your primary backup, but then also AJ Green, who I thought actually was a really good prospect that I was considering. Maybe the Bengals could have taken in like the 7th round last year. He ended up not going drafted at all. Out of Oklahoma State, I believe.
Yeah. And yeah, I fucking miss this. I feel like I had something for the cornerbacks. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Yesterday I talked about Ward, Greedy Williams, Troy Hill, Newsome. And what's exciting is that if you look at the cornerback room is going to be completely revamped from last year, because last year you only had on this list Denzel Ward, and you had Stewart. Well, no. Yeah, so you revamping your almost your entire secondary because you're adding Greedy Williams, because Greedy Williams barely played yet. So you're adding Greedy Williams, you're adding Delford for your safety position, you're adding Greg Newsome, you're adding Troy Hill, you're adding John Johnson. Like it's a completely different secondary. And like the only real starters from last year was Denzel Ward and Rodney Harris, and you just add into all those players, and you're just making your secondary that much deeper. So that's the exciting thing about this secondary. This secondary for the Browns is going to be something completely different than what it was. And then obviously AJ Green. Now for the special teams is going to be obvious. Like you said, you think that the kicker is going to you think that Cody Parker is going to win a kicker job.
Yeah, when I made that announcement earlier, I was being facetious. I think it's pretty obvious that Cody Parker is going to win that job. I don't think that's really up for debate at all. I don't think Chase McLaughlin.
You don't think Chase McLaughlin could beat him out?
No, he's a camp leg. They brought him in as a camp leg. They brought him in as somebody to like keep Cody Parker's leg fresh. He's not somebody who I think is really going to be competing for the job at all.
I agree. Jay McGillen, the greatest punter ever, the Scottish Hammer baby. Oh, I love that guy. And then, whatever you decide to do with receiver and running back, obviously, Dearness Johnson and Jonathan Jones and Anthony Shorts as punt returners. And you know what, though? I'm with you, though. I kind of like the idea of putting Anthony Shorts with that speed as your primary punt returner, kick returner. Give him some production. Huh. That Browns roster, man. That's the best Browns roster ever in my life.
Yeah, it's the best Browns roster in my life, and that doesn't make me feel good at all. But like I said, I had a lot more time to work on the Bengals roster, so I came up with the practice squad guys. I didn't really so much because I kind of did this Browns mock-up just before we started recording. So I got these guys over here listed as cut/practice squad. But I'd really to really tell you who I think is going to end up on the practice squad and who's just going to get straight up cut, I'd have to really look at each player individually and how long they've been in the league and stuff like that. And, that would take me a lot longer to come up with a practice squad projection. But any of these guys stand out to you who you think you would like on the cut list that you wish that the Browns would maybe keep around as like a practice squad guy?
I'm looking at it right now. Wait, hold on. Do you have Donovan Peoples-Jones not getting cut, obviously?
Yeah, no, okay. That I don't know why either of them are on there. Dearness Johnson and Donovan Peoples-Jones. Obviously, I have them on here, so they didn't get cut. I don't know why they were on the list.
Jordan Elliott, if he gets, he'd probably be put on his practice squad before he gets cut. Derek Williams would probably go to the practice squad. Rice Wazir, that'll probably be his practice squad. JoJo Natson will probably be cut to the practice. Kadarius Hodge should be a practice squad. Yeah, other than that, I'm not really sure who will probably get cut and who will probably go to practice squad. Most of these people look like they will even make the team. Like you said, the kicker they got from the Jets, he's probably just here for a leg for the camp.
I could potentially kind of like I got Austin Siebert making the Bengals practice squad. Mm-hmm. I could maybe see Chase McLaughlin making it as like a practice squad member because the practice squad is so heavily expanded this year. I could maybe see him getting on the practice squad for the Browns. That way they kind of have somebody waiting in the wings if something were like if an injury were to happen to Cody Parkey or if he were just like be double doinking all the damn time.
Shut up. But hey man, but like you said though, like the Browns roster is so good this year. Like a lot of all their starters pretty much like speak for themselves. The roster kind of speaks for itself. I mean, like you're not cutting Clowney. We're not going to Jordan Clowney. We're not going to Jadameon Clowney. Go like, hey Clowney, you're out of here. Takk McKinley. Like we all know how the Browns how Kevin Stancy who's the general manager for the Browns? Why did you lose the name of the general manager for the Browns? It's late. What's the name of the general manager of the Browns? Why can't I remember his name right now? I can't remember his name. Not Sashi Brown. Crap.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah, please. I don't know why I can't remember the Browns general manager right now.
Andrew Berry.
That's okay. You guys have like a long day and you're just trying to remember names and we just went over a whole goddamn roster.
Hey, quick trivia question. Who's the Bengals general manager?
That's a good question. Who is the Bengals general manager?
You want me to tell you?
Yeah, tell me who's the Bengals general manager.
It's a trick question. They don't fucking have one.
You know what I was gonna say? I was gonna say it was Mike Brown. I was gonna say it was Mike Brown.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it was
we got Duke Tobin. He's kind of like doing a lot of like he's the guy kind of in charge, like generally in charge of player personnel. So like he's not the general manager. He doesn't take on all of the general manager duties, but he takes on a lot of player personnel decisions.
So y'all have a Dallas Cowboys situation. Y'all have a Dallas Cowboys situation, don't y'all?
Kinda, yeah. Not quite. I think Jerry Jones is a little bit more of a dictator. Like he doesn't even have a Duke Tobin sitting around.
Well, the thing is about Jerry Jones had the pedigree. Like, I won these Super Bowls.
Yeah, Mike Brown doesn't have that.
Yeah, he has the whole Dallas thing.
Was really good.
You also had that big ass stadium.
Who? Mike Brown?
No, not Mike Brown. Jerry Jones.
Oh, okay. I was about to say Paul Brown Stadium isn't that big.
No, it's not. I still think y'all got. I still think y'all got a nice little stadium in y'all future. I still think.
Probably not if the Bengals don't start doing good here soon.
I mean, y'all got freaking Joe Burrow though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe. But a lot of Cincinnatians are still kind of like miffed about the raw deal we kind of got on Paul Brown Stadium. So I mean, if the Bengals aren't performing well, we might not get another stadium, honestly. But anyway, That was pretty much that was our roster projections for the Bengals and Browns. Took a little bit longer than I was kind of hoping for, but we also kind of wanted to get a little in depth with that. Real quick, let's go through the state of the AFC North.
Okay.
Not a whole lot to talk about here, but the Ravens with a couple of interesting points. One, Julio Jones got traded to the Tennessee Titans.
Second Ravens.
Yeah, well, probably not what the Ravens fans wanted to hear. So they still have a hard time finding receivers.
Man, look, man, that's probably the best situation he could go to for us as AFC North fans, because he's going to the AFC team, he wasn't going to the NFC. You know it was gonna happen. So you don't want him going to the Ravens. You don't want him going to the Chiefs. Obviously he wouldn't fit on the Browns. We already talked about how the Browns are already depth at the skills position, so they really don't need a receiver. Honestly though, for the Titans don't really scare me for real. A little off topic, they don't really scare me that he went to the Titans. I mean, the Titans scare me, but they don't scare me. The problem with the Titans though is that what do they do on their defense? They got one good player. Who they get on defense? Who was it? Bud Dupree, was it? They get Bud Dupree?
Yeah, they got Bud Dupree.
But that's it though. What else they do to their defense? Their defense, that secondary and the Titans, the Browns ran all through their secondary.
Yep, offense.
An offense, the offense.
Henry and Julio Jones and AJ Brown and Ryan Tannehill.
But the offense, remember the offense last year for the Falcons was pretty damn good, and that didn't do nothing for them.
Yeah, that's true because they kept blowing games.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, the defense is everything in the NFL. You don't have no defense in the NFL, you're not gonna do anything.
You know what the Ravens did do in terms of offense? It's actually a really, really ultra savvy move that isn't going to help them too much for 2021, but in the long run could actually turn out to be a really good move for them. You remember Juwan James, the offensive tackle for the Broncos, who got hurt while he was training in an outside facility, and then the Broncos were like, "We're not going to pay you now," and then the NFLPA got their panties in a twist about it.
Yeah.
Well, the Ravens, the Broncos cut him, and the Ravens picked him up. They're giving him $500,000 in guaranteed money while he rehabs in 2021, because he's going to be rehabbing all of 2021. And in exchange for that, they have him under contract for 2022, where they're going to pay him a little over $8 million. And none of it's guaranteed, by the way. So if it turns out he doesn't properly rehab, they can just cut him and then nothing happens. But if he does come back, then they got, probably one of the best offensive tackles in the league at that price tag, an $8 million price tag. If the Ravens feel he's ready to return to football, and they can just, they'll have him on their payroll next year. So maybe not 2021, but maybe watch out for the Ravens offensive line in 2022.
I really think the Ravens are going to be pretty good next year. I think the Ravens are going to be a very solid team next year. I think it'll be solid. I was thinking about it.
Solid for sure. I don't think they're going to be like some people are like, oh, the Ravens, they might be a Super Bowl contender. And I don't know about that.
Contender. No, they're not going to be a Super Bowl contender. Because simply put, though, and I kind of feel the same way about the Titans too. I think that we have seen the peak of Lamar Jackson. I think this year, Ryan Tannehill is going to take a step forward this year, but I think that I ain't gonna say that we've seen the best of him, but I think he's gonna take a step forward. I think he'll take a step forward with a new receiver this year, but I don't think that he's not gonna magically look like Patrick Mahomes. So I'm still curious. We still haven't seen the peak of Baker Mayfield or Joe Burrow yet. And I'm still very anxious to see what they're gonna look like when they're both finished products.
Yeah.
I think that we have seen the best of Lamar Jackson. I think we've seen the best of Ryan Tannehill. But I think that the exciting thing for me is what is Baker Mayfield going to look like in 5 years, and what is Joe Burrow going to look like in 5 years? Because I think I think their prime is going to be something. Both their prime is going to be something special. So I think
the fact that we've seen the best of Ryan Tannehill so far is pretty impressive. Because I don't know if too many people were expecting him to be as good as he ended up being.
Oh no, he's a good quarterback. I mean, he had 33 touchdowns last year. Shit. No, he's pretty damn good. But it's interesting though when you shut down. It's interesting how when you shut down Derrick Henry, that team just the rest of that team shuts down. That loss to Baltimore in the first round was pretty eye opening. Because they should have probably beat Baltimore in the first round, but they lost to them pretty handily. And it was a weird year. Don't get me wrong. But you can't know what they did 2 years ago in the playoffs where they ran through the Patriots and the Ravens.
Yeah.
So
which was
you can't
hilarious,
ignore
by
that.
the way.
Yeah, it was.
So, moving on away from the Ravens, then I think last we need to talk about the Steelers and why I alluded to at the beginning of the episode why I am still laughing at them. So Steelers fans have been getting their panties all in a twist every time somebody criticizes the Steelers for not having the best offensive line going into 2021, which is an absolute
trash.
Undeniable fucking fact.
They ain't do anything for it, man. Freaking Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett gonna have a field day with them.
They drafted Kendrick Green, I think, in the 4th round. They drafted Dan Moore in the 4th round, I think. And then they brought in Joe Haig from Tampa Bay. And so their projected starting offensive line, which, again, Steelers fans, listen, I know y'all don't want to hear bad things about your team, but your offensive line is trash and your team didn't do anything about it. And I'm going to give you solid, scientific, undeniable evidence that your offensive line, you have no reason to be excited about this offensive line. Y'all are doing the same thing Bengals fans did going into 2020. And how'd that work out for them?
You call him Cal Nye, the science guy. Go ahead, Cal Nye. Nye, that science guy. Cal.
In the spirit of projected projected rosters that we were doing for the Bengals and Browns this year, my projected starting unit for the Steelers for their offensive line in 2021 is at left tackle you got Chukwuma Okorafor. Who graded with a overall grade, like a PFF grade, a blocking grade of 57.4.
Congratulations, you made it.
57, that's an F. That's an F. At left guard, you got Kevin Dotson, who graded at 66.2.
Okay, that's a little better. You got a D.
At center, you got J.C. Hassenauer, who graded a 57.7. That's an F.
I love these names. J.C. Hassenauer.
Right guard, you got David DeCastro, who, in fairness, has been, a Pro Bowl guard and has been fairly good in his career. But in 2020, he graded with 66.2, which is a D.
That's a high D.
And
don't take away D plus.
Right tackle Zach Banner, who graded out at 63.7, was also a D. So you got 3 Ds and 2 Fs.
Man, maybe the Browns give London Bar one of our offensive linemen.
No, please don't.
No, we're not.
I think Steelers fans are living in a bit of denial here. Like, just
it's funny
from what actually happened last year standpoint, guys. The Steelers have absolutely no reason to think that their offensive line is going to be anything but trash this year. And okay, so David DeCastro and Kevin Dotson both graded over 80 as pass blockers in 2020. So, they have that to look forward to. But Zach Banner was the only player who graded over 60 as a run blocker. Everybody else was all Fs.
Well, maybe.
And Zach Banner, by the way, only played 59 snaps all season last year. He wasn't a starter. He was a rotational backup.
Maybe they're thinking they could just run. Maybe they're thinking they could just run a slant offense and they could just rely on Ben Roethlisberger having quick releases down the field all season long.
They're gonna have to.
Exactly.
And maybe they can have some decent pass blocking, but like the run blocking was just not addressed at all. I mean, it was.
And they got a rookie running back coming in,
but with developmental players who are.
They got a rookie running back coming in there too. They got a rookie running back coming in there too, don't they?
Yeah. Everybody's like, oh, Najee Harris. But it's like, well, if Najee Harris has no blocking, He ain't gonna do anything.
Man, dude, you know.
So the Steelers.
Yeah, Najee Harris is talented though. Najee Harris is talented though. But I'm with you though. Like, you know, what are you gonna? How you gonna?
Like if
how you gonna get past the line of scrimmage?
Right.
I mean, let this kid go. Let this kid know that Nick Chubb or something.
Even Barry Sanders, you know, had struggled behind that Lions offensive line from time to time. And Najee Harris isn't Barry Sanders.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Chubb struggled. I mean, Nick Chubb had a good season behind a very bad Browns offensive line, but then again, like he's freaking Nick Chubb. You know, like how many running backs in the NFL are you gonna take?
Harris is Najee Harris, but at the same time, like I don't think people are giving enough credence to how bad the Steelers' offensive line is going to be this year.
I'm with you. No, I'm with you.
One of their biggest off-season moves on offensive line was bringing in Joe Haeg, which you could maybe make the argument that maybe he could be the starting right tackle. But if he is, he graded a 62.3 in the run game, which I guess is I think it's actually a little bit of a downgrade from Zach Banner. But I don't think Steelers fans want Joe Haeg starting because you know what he graded as a pass blocker last year for Tom Brady?
What?
39.2.
Man, that's a super F.
That's a super F. My grade.
Don't show his mama those grades so he can know. Mama, look, these are my grades, man. You ain't getting college those grades, boy.
The only time I've ever seen a worse grade than 39.2 is when I took AP Calculus in high school. Like I legitimately, I got like a 27% or some shit.
Hey man, I have some bad grades, man. Shoot, I have French. When I took French, I had a 3.
A 3?
Yo, I took French twice on a low, man. My idiot self. So I took French in high school, and then like I took French again in college when I first came to OU because I was trying to because like I should have just took Spanish because I was already 2 years into Spanish. But like I when I got to OU, like I took French because like on orientation, this girl took French. She's like all the girls in my orientation was like, yeah, we're doing French. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do French to get with these girls on orientation, and then. I didn't have a single one of them in a French class, and then I realized that I was bad at French. Again, why the hell did I take this? I dropped it. That's the only class I dropped in college. Okay, it's like one of 2 classes I dropped in college, but like I dropped that class. I dropped that class so quick. I'm like, I ain't roll my GPA. Trying to speak a language I can't.
Jeez.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Thomas. That's all like French, man.
Hey, that's more than I know in French.
Like don't get me wrong. Like you know, it's a beautiful language. It's a beautiful language though. Like don't get me wrong. I think French. Like I think the French accent is the most beautiful accent though. Like I think the French. Like you ever been to French Canada? The French Canada, and they have that French Canadian accent. Like that accent to me is just the most beautiful accent in the world. To me personally, I love French. I just can't. I just have trouble learning it. I love it though. I love it. I love like the culture and everything of it. But I just have really a hard time learning the language. I wish I could learn the language better. That's on me. That's a me problem. It's not nothing against French. That's a me problem. I didn't work with myself so I can learn some French. Bonjour.
I was never a big fan of the French language, like auditorially, like from a sound perspective. I never thought it sounded that great. But then again, I'm a weird guy who took Russian because I thought Russian sounded cool.
Oh shit! I mean, I like Russian history, but Spanish to me is easy. Spanish to me was easy though. Me gusta. Like literally, you can get through freaking you get through your first year of Spanish just by learning my gusta. I like. What do you like? Me gusta football americano. Hey, that's all you got to do in Spanish. Yo me gusta. Just learn that. You'll pass Spanish.
Ya lublю football americanski. I don't
Americano.
think I conjugated that properly, but
it's Americano.
Well, no, Americanski isn't Russian.
Okay. I didn't know you speak Russian.
It's been like 5 years since I took Russian. I don't remember how the conjugation.
Speaking of languages, though, like for me, I think the funnest language, like if I could learn any language fluently, it would be German, because German is just like the funnest language. Because like you could not know when somebody's speaking German if they're angry, if they're happy, if they're sad.
That's why I like Russision.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's probably true. I don't know much about Russian, but I just like
Russian just sounds perpetually angry.
I just love those videos on there's that video on YouTube where it's like words in different languages, and they always do the German word, and the German word is just always this very long dried out word, and then like it's always these very hard rough syllables. Oh man, like learn, like if you're watching this, pick up a second language. Like it'll make you a better person. It'll make you a better person.
I'm actually
that's a lesson of the podcast.
I'm actually in the middle of trying to learn Welsh right now.
Welsh,
yeah. Got like that Celtic blood stirring.
Pittsburgh.
Getting back to the point, by the way. Hey, Pittsburgh, maybe Dan Moore or Kendrick Green can develop into solid contributors in year one. Maybe BJ Finney can return to being a solid rotational type player that he was in Pittsburgh before he completely burned out in both Seattle and Cincinnati. But you know what? Those are a lot of ifs. We all remember how building an offensive line off of maybes worked for the Bengals in 2020. So maybe get your panties out of a fucking knot and just accept the fact that your team has, legitimate reasons to be criticized right now. I'm sorry. I don't think there's going to be a lot of fun for the Pittsburgh Steelers going forward for a little while. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Steelers hater. I am a Steelers hater, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying that as an analyst. I honestly think the Steelers are headed for a period of not doing so good. Mike Tomlin, I think, is going to see his first losing season this year. And
I think Mike Tomlin will be fired this year.
I don't think he's going to be fired. I think the Steelers are too stubborn for that, personally.
Ooh, are they?
Yes, they are.
I mean, if this thing collapses,
Mike Tomlin is the third Steelers head coach.
But the reason why I think that he's going to be fired is because, like, I really do think that there's a locker room issue in Pittsburgh, man. I think there's a culture problem.
I don't think.
And I think when the Roonies realize that there's actually a culture problem going on in Pittsburgh, they're gonna be like, hey, like, we want to change this culture.
I agree, but I don't think that they're gonna realize that quickly enough.
Like this dude let this team do whatever they want, though. Like, I mean, like, just look at the track record of these players. Like, these players are literally doing whatever they want, and they're just going to Pittsburgh and they're getting worse. Like, all right, so Odell Beckham, man. Like, Odell Beckham came to Cleveland. And he's more mellow than he was in New York. I mean, like, that's I'm not saying, like, obviously there's more stuff to do in New York and everything, but he mellowed out. He mellowed the hell out, man. Like, especially since he got hurt. Like, I mean, like, he's still dramatic, obviously. He's still all over TV and stuff, and there still was that LSU incident 2 years ago. But this last summer, like, he's mellowing out, man. Like, these players at Pittsburgh, they're not going to Pittsburgh and mellowing out. They're going to Pittsburgh. They're acting worse. Like, what is going on in Pittsburgh, man? What is going on? I'm like every player,
Mike Tomlin, and he's admitted to this before. Mike Tomlin kind of likes letting his players just kind of be themselves. And the problem with that is it's not just letting guys be themselves. It's just letting guys do whatever they want. And you're completely lacking a disciplinary element. And while that might have worked for the early Mike Tomlin era Steelers teams because of the composition that was made up, and because you were coming off of that, like, Bill Cowher, like discipline, nose to the grindstone, and like all those guys kind of already had that mentality. But now this is Mike Tomlin's team, and there's just no discipline.
You know what it is, though? And I think that it starts with the leadership on top of the players too. I think we talk about toxicity. I mean, obviously Ben Roethlisberger, you're taking less money so your team can have more flexibility. Like, I respect that. But on the other side of it, you're up here, you can't, there's not an offensive coordinator good enough for Ben Roethlisberger. And that's a problem. You talk about team leadership. I don't like the Suns right now. Right now, the Suns are beating the Denver Nuggets by 20. The reason the Suns 2 years ago with the worst team in the NBA, or one of the worst teams in the NBA, they had all this talent, but they couldn't bring it together. So the Suns went out and got this player named Chris Paul, who is one of the greatest leaders in the NBA. Came in and taught these young players on the Suns how to listen to their coach, how to absorb, and how to learn everything they need to. Well, because Chris Paul is a leader, and young players, they follow young people. They follow the older veteran in charge. Even if you don't think they're listening to you, even if you don't think they're watching, they are watching you because they're trying to figure out how they can get to where you are at. So when you're a quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger, you have to realize that you have all these young players around you that's watching everything that you do. So you out here undermining your offensive coordinator. You out here getting arguments with coaches. You over here scrapping plays and stuff. Then that's not going to set a good precedent for the young players because they're not going to have respect for the upper management. So like I said, you have a situation with Chris Paul is setting a good example for the young players, and they're listening to their coaches, and they're built on culture, and they're listening to each other and have each other back. Everybody's out for themselves, and they're not doing what they need to do. The culture in Pittsburgh is not where it needs to be, and if they don't do anything this year, the culture in Pittsburgh is going to get worse, and in turn, it's going to lead to the firing of Mike Tomlin, man. You can't have a bad culture for long in football.
I agree with all of that. I just don't think that the Steelers are going to get wise enough to fire him this year. I think it's going to take at least till next year.
You think? Yeah, I think eventually they're going to be like they're going to look around and see that the culture in Pittsburgh is shot, and they're going to
eventually. I just don't think that's going to happen this year.
Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. That's all I got. Pittsburgh still sucks.
And that is the point of all that ranting we just went on. But hey, guys, we've been doing this for like 2 hours now. I think this is probably one of the longer podcasts we've ever had, and we'll probably edit this down a decent amount. Yeah. Because nobody wants to sit here and just listen to shit for 2 hours, or maybe you guys do. If you do, let us know, and we'd be more than happy to put out more long form stuff for you because we just like talking about football.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about a lot this episode. We talked about Jason Day's wife getting tackled by LeBron James. Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah, that was interesting. but anyway, like I said, if you like the long form, let us know. We'd be happy to do it more. But I assume that most people probably don't want to listen to 2 hours of the same podcast over time because, like, I know I usually like. My cutoff's usually about an hour, maybe an hour and a half at the most. But usually I personally go for podcasts that are like about 45 minutes. That's my personal belief. But if you guys have other ideas, obviously we're making this for you guys. We want you guys to have a good experience here. So just let us know in the comments. Hit me or Thomas up. Just let us know what you guys think. You can always find more of what I do at Kyle Phelps 92 on Twitter and Facebook.com/ThePhelps. And I do have a YouTube channel that I haven't been making videos for lately. But, I mean, I do have a couple videos up. And if I feel like making more, I might make more. And if it starts getting if people start paying attention to it a little bit more, maybe I'll start making more content. I don't know.
Maybe more content. More content.
Maybe. That's right now. It's just kind of a side thing I do just for why not purposes. You can catch Thomas's extra work, like everything else he does, at T_star94 on Twitter and Instagram. And he's got a YouTube page called Blowdown Page. So go check that out. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Especially go check out like the Black Baker Mayfields. I personally think a lot.
I might make another one of those soon. I kept on saying I would, but I just never have. But yeah, more coming soon. Eventually,
if you do, I will watch it and share it.
Don't worry, they're coming.
And as you should all do, by the way, if you like this content, if you like what we're doing, like it, share it, subscribe, all that stuff. Just lets us know that somebody out there is listening and encourages us to do more stuff like this.
We just want to be loved.
Do what?
We just want to be loved.
We just want to be loved. Now, I'll be honest with you. Like, if literally nobody watches us, me and Thomas will probably just keep doing it because it's fun. But it's nice to hear out there that people are watching and listening to the stuff that we make and the stuff that we take the time to produce. So, I mean, if you are, let us know and let us know what you think. Let us know what we can improve. Let us know what the parts that you like, and let us know if you have any questions. Heck, if we get enough people talking to us, maybe we'll do like a listener question segment.
I would love to do that. I would love to do that.
That'd be fun.
I would love to do that.
So
appreciate y'all. We appreciate all of y'all. Honestly, we do.
Yeah, we do. So just like I said, let us know anything. Just come talk to us. Ask how the weather is. I don't care. I like talking to people. But anyway,
it's hot, humid.
Yeah, don't tell me. I gotta deliver in that shit. That's why I got a haircut. But anyway, thanks for listening, everybody, and I'll leave y'all with a Who Dey.
Go Browns.